Yo,
Welcome.
welcome to the seventh installment of the Log Pod. As you can see, we have a very special guest today in the form of Mike's
Nick?
Hard Bongwater, which is a horrendous name.
Thank you guys.
Trevor,
I assumed I'd be getting that out of the way early.
Say hi to
Thank
the
you.
people.
What's up, people? Glad to be here.
Great to have you. Anyways, hell of a week. Week 6 was. I'm sure you guys have all known this by now, but this is the lowest scoring NFL year in 22 years
Since 1984.
since 1984.
A lot
That's
more than
unders.
22.
Bet the under,
no,
baby.
it's down 22% from last year at this exact
Since
same time.
1984.
That was
So-
the stat.
that makes fantasy a lot of fun for everyone. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the Week 6 recap. A lot of upsets this week. A lot of really shitty teams getting a W for the first time.
Hell yeah.
So shout out to those teams. We'll start with
We'll start with the biggest
Only
one.
one of those.
one of the biggest upsets that happened this week, and that was myself, Omega Sharkus, against Fuck the Sheeples. Josh Caliendo, another podcast battle here. We suck. Is pretty
You guys
much
just suck.
it's pretty much what I got out of this matchup. We don't have quarterbacks. Josh has really good running backs. His best receiver was on bye.
Leo, I feel like this is there's been several weeks where Stephon Diggs puts everybody onto his back and then just falls a yard short of taking you to the promised land. And he's done it again this week.
Not sure
So,
what
yeah.
that means because I
He
won.
won.
But
Yeah, I'm kind of stupid.
not
That's
sure what
what
that
I
means
won.
That?
because I won.
So
but,
he put him on his back and he actually did it.
That Chiefs-Bills game was such a banger. I don't know if you guys were able to watch it, but
Fun
oh, yeah.
fact.
he put the Bills on his back as well.
Oh,
Fun
yeah.
fact. I got to call my own defeat in real time. During that last drive, we were all texting in the group chat, and I said, I have a feeling it's going to be a Dawson Knox touchdown right here, and guess who caught the touchdown that was the difference maker?
That was a beautiful throw.
Yeah, I'm sure watching the Bills drive down and throwing to no one but Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox must have been super fun for you. Like
fun
every
for one
every
of us.
drive.
He only had 3 receptions, though. So it's like that one reception and touchdown. I think that reception was over for 20-plus yards. Like, that was his day. Other than that, he did nothing all day.
So
Correct.
Stephon Diggs took everything else.
Exactly. Stephon Diggs pack-muted that motherfucker to the finish line.
Yeah, in full credit to Leo. I mean, we talked about it, but maybe having a bunch of guys on bye or injuries is a good thing for you. It made you make all the right starts and all the right moves. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. I
That
took the L.
Higbee flex was very cute.
Do
you regret that in hindsight? I mean, obviously you do, but
No, I mean, yeah, in hindsight, I regret it, but at the time, it felt like the right move. He's the highest targeted tight end in the entire league, and I know he was coming off an injury, but you're told that he's, good to go. You don't expect him to drop 1.7 points. Even his worst game of the year gets me a W. So, his worst game of the year before that, I end up with a win. So,
Were you going to start Alec Pierce? I assume you probably would have gone DJ Moore because you love that man.
no, DJ Moore is a non-starter for me. I was between Pierce and Duvernay.
Literally.
I was never really between benching Higbee. I thought Higbee was going to be a safe 7 or 8 points. I was between Pierce and Duvernay, and Duvernay had 10 last week with Bateman out. I expected Duvernay to get something similar, and he just was phased out. So it's unfortunate, but we take our L's and we move on.
Yeah, I just wanted some insight into your start sit, like if you were between Pierce and Higbee, but
No, I expected a safe few points from Higbee, and I didn't get it. So
Who scored
it
all the
sucks.
points for the Ravens? Because I'm seeing J.K. Dobbins had basically zero.
Kenyon
Kubernetes
Drake,
zero.
baby.
Kenyon Drake.
Forgot about him.
J.K.
Kenyon
Dobbins
Drake.
got his knee locked up on the turf, so they sat him the entire second half. But yeah, I mean, it was just a solid showing from my team. It's always nice to get a win without your first round pick, or at least with your first round pick on bye. So hopefully that kickstarts my team moving forward. All right, moving on to the next matchup, we got King Drizzle against a name which no longer fits the situation. Over 98 points. Najee, I'm good with astounding
Wow.
133.3 points.
Still such a great fucking name.
Still a fantastic name. Looks like his team finally got their shit together, and Najee got a touchdown, which I think really was the main thing holding him back.
I will
from
say
greatness.
I've been in a lot of leagues where people try to do name puns. Flag is by far the best at name puns I've ever come across. Whether it's minus the Brandon McMah, minus
That
the
one.
Tyler B, or who was he
Those
last
are,
year?
Minus
those
the
are a
bat.
stretch.
Minus the Matt. So
Those
I gotta
are
give a
stretch.
shout out to Flag for that.
In our other league, Flag always does the same thing. I think he actually was Najee I'm good last year, but I won't give him too much shit for repeating the name. I did
It was a good name.
It's a
I
new
did
audience.
too.
It's okay.
Yeah. I was like, I had Saquon in that league too, so I was like Saquon my butt or something like that.
Yeah, I think Aaron's team is a little bit of a scary team moving forward. Brees Hall looks like he's going to be a superstar in this league, and then he's got DeAndre Hopkins starting this week. So,
And
watch
Keenan Allen
out.
coming back.
take a
Is
seat.
he? Like, what's wrong
Well,
with him?
We'll
he'll
see
be
about
back
Keenan.
eventually, right?
He said today that he may sit out and sit through the bye because he doesn't want to re-aggravate anything. So we'll see. I've been paying damn close attention to Keenan Allen this week. Trust me.
I mean, one of the biggest moves he made was getting rid of Kelsey, and Hopkins was a big part of that trade. So he's like kind of reaping the rewards.
And he
after
has
the fact,
Njoku.
right?
He has Njoku, which has also been a solid tight end
Yeah,
all
I mean,
year.
it's
Tight
the,
end
it's the
7.
tight end position though. Like solid means serviceable. There's only like
Right.
Mark Andrews and Kelsey that are like actually relevant, right?
I wonder. I think there's a lot of like mystery around what that Browns team is going to look like when the rapist comes back.
Alleged.
If I can call him that on
Alleged.
the pod.
You can call him a
Nick?
legend.
Nick,
We don't want to
Um,
get sued.
Not
He's
gonna
a
call him a legend.
he's a friend of the
He's,
pod.
he's
so
an opportunist. He's not a rapist.
No, Nick. Oh my God, mute him. Somebody mute him.
Oh,
I've heard a lot
no.
of bad Nick takes on the pod, and that is one of the worst.
Nick, or Dan, hit him with the claps. Hit him with the claps really quick.
Oh, I like
we
it.
gotta let that one simmer for a minute. Nick calling Deshaun Watson an opportunist.
I mean,
Don't
it's also
try to
it's
defend
not
it
a-
more. Just give
Doesn't
give
mean
up
it's a good
points.
thing. Just saying.
All right. Drake's
Shout out to
team.
Flag though.
Drake's team. The longer the season goes, the less scary it looks. I mean, we
I
all
agree.
thought he was so deep and had every position covered, but it seems like there's some glaring holes. I mean, if you're starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he doesn't seem to be that guy. Now, granted, he has Zeke on the bench, but Zeke, this has probably been his highest scoring game with
Look,
15
Drake's
points.
defense, Clyde Edwards had like 4 really decent weeks, and 2 of
Yeah.
those being good weeks. So like I would have done the same thing. I would have rolled with
Clyde-
CH.
I would have too. I mean, overall, like Drake's team is scary when Lamar and or McCaffrey are popping the f off because that's
But he's
60
boomer bust.
points right there.
Yeah.
He has a lot of boom bust players like Debo. Clyde has been getting by on otherworldly like touchdown rate.
His
Like,
efficiency is insane.
his
Yeah.
touchdown efficiency has been like it had to come crashing down at some point. So I think he'll be solid the rest of the way. He needs to stop flexing Curtis Samuel. I don't know what I don't know what he thought with Wentz
He's chasing week 1, I think.
having a bicep tear. I think that was well
Yeah.
known before that game that none of those receivers were going to produce.
Yeah, well, Elliott finally had his first decent showing of the year, so I'm sure he's going to be put back into the Elliott hell of deciding whether to start him weekly. So
Yeah.
And
We'll
Dak's
see.
back, so they're best friends. Could be good.
Yeah, I think the best next step for Drake is probably trading Lamar or Gino. I mean, really just getting rid of one of those
Word.
QBs and,
All right,
and
move on.
picking somebody else up. I think that's probably the best idea. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next matchup,
Hey,
which
hey.
is our own Jeff
Congrats, Daniel.
Yankovic
You did it!
I don't even feel that bad. I'm glad Dan got his
against
first
Mike's
win.
Hard Bogwater.
You guys all thought that I was never gonna do it, and then I went on and I goddamn did it.
Hell of a
God
matchup.
damn it!
I picked
God-
Dan. I believe.
God bless Deion Jackson. God bless my stupid little brain for dropping him.
Shout out to Leo for
You
losing
dropped
me
him for
this week.
Dawson Knox, though, and Dawson Knox got you the dub, so.
I know.
That's true.
Well, so Jonathan Taylor practiced on Friday,
Mhm.
and so I was like, well, there's no need for Deion Jackson. And then Saturday they ruled out JT, but I had already dropped him. However, all things being said, Dan still got that
Yeah.
W. I mean, Ramondre and Jamar carried you, aside from the GOAT that is Deion Jackson. Trevor,
I was definitely
got
scared
carried by-
this week because
Go
Ramondre was gonna be the bell cow against the Browns. I think he had like something like over 90% of snaps, which is like unheard of in the league. Like most you call bell cows, they're like over 70, 75. So I knew that was a struggle. That's why I put obviously a bet on anytime touchdown scorer from him. But congrats to Dan. No, he deserved this one.
He
Although
earned it, man.
It does suck to lose in a week where I was the third highest scorer on the week, so like I would have beat everyone else but Flag. But I'm not
That's
not
fantasy,
too
baby.
sad sitting at 4-2 without having my first round draft pick for the last like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I feel Trev. It sucks to lose at that third highest. I mean, these guys, like what Nick and Leo both won at like 90 points, and that's like what I've been scoring this whole season. So it's pretty.
That's
annoying.
fantasy, though.
This is my first win, so I can relate. That.
Scored 82, but thank you.
Dan, how mad
exactly.
would you have been if you had played Aaron this week? Like, would you have just been
Yeah.
the ultimate defeat?
Yeah, it'd be the story of my life, But that's that's a depression for another story.
Are you pretty set on rolling with Kirk for the rest of the year?
Kirk's on
Or-
bye this week, so Russ will be in for sure this week.
That's
Oh
right.
God, why?
That's rad.
He might be hurt too. You know that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
He's done
Uh,
2 straight press conferences without saying Bronco Country, let's ride. So,
Yeah, I mean,
That's
at least this week I'm going Russ. Absolutely. We'll see going forth.
he also said today that he has Wolverine blood, and that's why he's healing so quickly. So,
I hate
you
that.
got that.
The Jets
What
are
a
going to
cornball.
fucking steamroll
Hey, Nick.
him.
Hey, Nick, did you see how well Jamar Chase did?
I love Jamar Chase. He's one of my favorite wide receivers.
It's a great, dude.
I've always wanted him. That's been known. Like I've offered Dan several trades for him.
Dude's a baller.
Several terrible trades for him. Yeah.
That's not true. They were early tops, Dan. Let's call it what it is. So
All right, moving on to the next matchup. Shout out Dan. Hey, everyone, quick round of
heartbreak
applause to Dan for getting his first win of the year. Well, he took him 6 weeks. All right, here we have what shouldn't have been a very close matchup, but ended up being Taylor Gang, Thomas Gordon against God Did Not Save the Queen, Ryan Koenig. Justin Herbert really let the Queen down.
This was pure heartbreak watching Monday night. All he had to do was have Herbert outscore Judy by like 4 points.
the Chargers are a frustrating team.
That's so
Being an
bad.
Austin Eckler owner, the Chargers are a very frustrating team to watch play because they should be so much better and more explosive, and they just barely squeak things out. And Herbert throws for
I
186
think they
yards.
missed Keenan
That's it.
Allen a lot. Like, I
Oh, yeah.
think he
Agree.
clearly was a bigger part of the offense than I think people thought. I think people thought Herbert was bulletproof and could produce with any amalgamation of their wide receivers, but like clearly not.
Well, I
Yeah.
think Brandon Staley also he's a wild card as a coach. Like, and so I don't think he planned for this very well. And like you said, Justin Herbert's still, I think, a great quarterback and would be good without Mike Evans, but I don't think Brandon Staley did a very good job of aiding Justin Herbert.
I think the Broncos D is super, super good. Like, very underrated. Or I guess they're pretty properly rated at this time of the season. And when you have a receiver like Mike Williams, who is such a baller and such a big part of that offense, get just pocketed by Pat Surtain all game, you're going to have a bad time.
He's such a stud.
But they won the game because the Broncos are a fucking dumpster fire on offense. So, shout out.
Yeah.
And Tom, even though he didn't have his Holy Trinity, the two pieces of the Holy Trinity still combined for almost 50 points. So just goes to show you how valuable quarterback and tight end have been this year. This was the week to beat Thomas. I mean, looking at his bench, it's all buys. Jonathan Taylor was injured. He only drops 93, and Koenig just kind of dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Actually, is it this the week to beat Thomas? Josh Allen's on bye, right? Who plays Tom this
I'm
week?
playing Tom.
You are insanely lucky, sir.
Dude, he's got Derek Carr against the Texans, though. So
That is a good pickup. That's a good pickup.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Next matchup, we got a barn burner.
Go Dags.
Detective Alan Gamble, Nick Radford against Josh Rosen. Don't understand how the Jets dropped 27 points and Zach Wilson only gets 4.
Reese Hall, baby.
Which is that's just like an insane thing to think about.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon III is not a football player anymore, unfortunately. Taysom Hill, I don't know if he was worth $37 or whatever he paid for him.
Look, the whole Fab thing is a different story. I don't pick up nearly as many people as Josh and Trevor do, so I don't mind spending the money. But my favorite thing ever
Nice.
that could happen in fantasy football happened this week when I played Josh. He had every single player going in the early games on Sunday, and I only had 3 people going. The rest were later games, and I love when that happens. And I saw 67 points. I thought I was going to score a lot more points than this, to be quite frank with you, but I'm happy I squeaked away.
Yeah, would have been real bad if you lost to a 67-point team.
A sexy
You
7.
needed
A
you were
sexy
down like
7-point team.
6 or 7 going into Eckler and Gordon, right?
Correct.
So if that game goes a little differently for Eckler, dude, you could have bet that could have been Ryan level of
real
heartbreak.
bad.
But at the same time, I think Eckler has solidified himself back at a cowbell.
Bell cow.
The cowbell.
Of running back.
More cowbell.
We need more cowbell.
The cow
Where's
has
the
the
cowbell
bell.
drop?
Shout out Cowbells.
Yeah, I mean he's the RB1, right?
Yeah, he is.
RB1.
He's
Gotta
RB1
be,
of the league, yeah.
Overall. Shout out Josh Rosen's team. It looks really bad again. After having dropped 150 points or whatever last week. So
Adam's on bye.
interesting to
Talk
see.
about that.
Well,
Adams and Hawk.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
Irv Smith,
He gets Dak back.
he gets stacked back. Yeah,
I mean, there's
interesting developments
Yeah.
there.
I mean, I get to play him this week when Cook is on bye, so that's pretty sick. But yeah, Dak will be a huge upgrade over Zach Wilson.
Yeah. All right, and now the last matchup, we got the matchup of the week, which was another barn burner.
We're so good at predicting these matchups of the week. It is incredible.
Yeah, every matchup of the week I don't think has ever gone over 100 points.
I mean, there's like 4 bad games this week. That was
Because I think you picked
Been hard
Sam
not to pick
twice
one.
now. You need to stop picking Sam for the matchup of the week.
Yep. So the matchup of the week, it was Hertz Chubb, which was Jimmy, against low score whore at the time, Sam Waxon.
His new name.
We'll get to it.
Okay. We talked about this last night on Discord. It's so funny. I love his new name.
Sam's team's terrible. He started Carson Wentz, so that's just
It's just
That's
rough
it.
going.
that's the whole matchup right there. He had Daniel Jones and dropped him to pick up Carson Wentz, so
Does
don't
anyone
think
know
it
how
would've
much Jones
won him.
scored?
It wouldn't have won him the matchup because I
Okay.
think Jones only scored like 12 points.
I mean, I think
Okay.
we also
That's what I
coming after
wondered.
the draft when he had Trey Lance and Justin Fields as his two quarterbacks week one. So like Sam has set himself up for this quarterback disaster.
I mean, Trey Lance
Get
got
go.
injured, man. You can't.
Yeah,
Trey
you can't really
Lance-
knock Trey Lance.
Nick's been
He got injured.
hating on him all
I,
year.
I don't get the Trey Lance hype one
It's
bit.
because Nick's
It's-
racist.
It's fantasy football, Nick. He's a running
Don't get it
quarterback.
one bit.
He's a running quarterback. You get 0.1.
Let me
for
guess
a
you
yard.
hated. Let me guess you hated Jalen Hurts last
he
year.
loved
and the year
Jalen
before.
I love Jalen Hurts.
That's the same archetype of player.
But Jalen Hurts is a proven quarterback who has done it at every level. Trey Lance has, I think, is less than 700 attempts of throwing the ball in his entire lifetime of playing competitive football. Like that's crazy. Crazy.
Anyways, James's team continues to be a stalwart. He was really adamant about starting Will Disley this week. He dropped like $6 of fab on Will fucking Disley, and it didn't come back to bite him, I guess. So
I think Darren Waller is not healthy yet, so he may have to again.
I think
he
picked
dropped
up,
But
picked
I
up
thought-
Disley.
oh well, he might have to go back and on the waiver wire.
he
from
dropped
what I-
Disley.
What
Go
I
back
heard,
to the
I'm
well.
not wrong.
Darren Waller's not looking good.
And then Sam's team just doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's rough.
It just doesn't look good.
When your RB1 is Devin Singletary, you're gonna
He's
have a
been
bad time.
he's been fine, you know.
I think I looked at what was it? Justin Jefferson has like over a fifth of his points on the year as one player. So looks like the back is getting broken.
It's over.
Yeah, team hasn't changed here. Sam's team still sucks, even though he's 4-2, which I'm pissed about.
He is in playoffs.
I
Right
love
now.
the new
If
name, though.
Playoffs started right now. He would be in there. But let's go ahead and I believe that's all of our matchups. Let's
Yep.
go ahead and first let's go ahead and see how we did last week. Dan, if you want to pull it up really quick.
I don't want to, but I will.
Damn fucking right.
I made a roaring comeback this week. Back in the mix.
Maybe. I mean, did we even trust Dan's
It was right. It was right
Formulas?
this week. I checked it.
I've sent it every time.
Yeah, and we've corrected it every
Yeah.
time.
Let's go, Josh.
All
Yeah,
right.
For
Go
our
ahead.
listeners, myself, Leo, and Josh all went 3-3. Nick went with a strong 4-2 last week. Looking at these standings, Josh is still in first, 19-17. Nick is in second at 17-19, and Leo and I are tied for last place and copper
Third.
and bronze medal for at 16-20. Sorry, I got the
Playing too
Arizona
much
5.
Arizona based podcast.
Yeah, of course I didn't pick myself this week because I was supposed to get fucking pounded in, and I ended up winning. So
Nick,
maybe I'll
how
start
did you
doing
pick
that some more.
Sam to beat James. Why?
Because it was like I was going the sharp bet where Vegas is
Like
setting the line
contrarian?
super high. Yeah,
Like contrarian
It
bet?
didn't
Okay.
work, but
We all went James, so he was like, that puts into it as well.
Yeah, we're not very good at this. I guess Josh is really good, but the rest of us
He's
are negative.
really good
so-
at one game over 500.
One game over 500.
That's all it
That's
takes
how
in
it
this
works.
league, clearly.
yeah.
Yep, that's all you need to win. I mean, but anyways, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully, things, it starts becoming a lot easier to pick winners. But as we all know, fantasy is a fickle bitch.
Yeah, I know that for sure.
Especially this season.
Especially this season, and especially to Dan.
Poor Dan. Still love you, Dan.
So next up, we have somewhat of a new segment, which is for our guest picker, or rather our guest podcaster, is going to ask the rest of the pod a very insightful question so as to create some conversation.
Yeah. I want to
Answer
go
is,
ask.
answer's 8 inches.
It's not.
So that was the first question. I have another one.
Was it how big of Dan's catheter is?
Yeah. How big of a
it
catch
was
my penis
it was back to like draft season, and like at this point in the season, who is the player not on your own team who you were most wrong about? Whether that is like fading someone who's now a baller, or really loving someone who's kind of trash. Josh, go first.
Pick me. I was totally wrong about this guy. I was fading him so hard, and I wish I had picked him. Josh Jacobs. Hindsight 2020, you look back and you go, oh, duh, he's on the final year of his contract. They're going to run this guy into the ground. And I thought, maybe I was right after the first 2 weeks when he looked very pedestrian, but Josh Jacobs looks like he might end up being a top 12 running back by the end of the season.
Dude runs hard, man. Was the
he
Chiefs
looks
game
so
2 weeks
good.
ago?
He looks so
He
good.
just every time he touches the ball, it's just like he could take it 20 yards. Like,
Yeah,
every time.
and the thing that sucks is I'm a Josh Jacobs fan. I've liked Josh Jacobs. I just looked at everything this year and was like, I just don't see it. I got caught up in the fantasy of people or fantasy experts saying he wasn't going to do anything this year, and I was like, that's right, he's not going to do anything. So
I have
dude's
him on
been
my
good.
dynasty team, baby.
Dude's been good.
People don't understand how young he is. He's still 24.
He's almost
He's
younger
been in the
than
league 4 years.
Looks like he's 30.
Najee is only a couple months younger than him.
Yep, he's the same age as Najee basically, and they came in the league two years apart.
I feel like with running backs, though, it's a lot more about yardage, like how
efficiency.
long, like how long you've been getting pounded, as opposed to.
But that's the thing is Najee, whether it's in college or the NFL, you're still getting, to use your word, pounded.
You're
Like,
getting
Najee's
Najee
taking all the same hits
Najee
in
fucking
college.
Sucks, dude.
Trent Richardson 2.0, baby.
Anyways, I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. I thought he was gonna suck butts. And that's it.
That's a big one. He proved
I
you
thought
very
he was-
wrong.
I thought he was going to be really bad. I didn't think Sirianni was a good coach at all. But he somehow is, and Jalen Hurts is somehow a good quarterback as well. So,
All right.
Yeah.
I'll jump in there since I have another like top tier guy that I fade pretty much every single year. I don't know why I do it. I think it's the lack of receiving upside, which is something I look for very hard in the first 2 round running backs. But
Nick Chubb.
is like I will never have him on a team because going into draft season, I will never look at a running back and be like, they don't catch the ball, I'm not going to draft them.
It's
And-
exactly. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
This dude just balls out every fucking year. Like I think he's the best physical. Like he is the best running back, not fantasy. He's the best running back in the NFL.
Definitely.
Either him, Derrick Henry, or McCaffrey could argue that, but
It's
he's
exactly
the best
what
pure
I've,
runner.
It's exactly what I've said before about him. It's anybody who gets super deep into fantasy always looks at Nick Chubb and goes, no. It's not a good pick. It's not a good pick. It's the guy who shows up at the draft and hasn't done a single ounce of studying, who just watches football on Sundays and goes, oh, Nick Chubb's here? Yeah. I guess
How
that's
is
a
he
guy.
still available
Yeah,
here?
and
He
takes
looks,
him.
every time he touches the ball, he looks like the best player on the field.
Yep, and he
But
reaps the
then-
benefits.
Yeah, after you get into fantasy, you're like, oh, no receiving work. He shares a backfield. He only gets like 60% of snaps. Not going to take him.
Yep.
But yeah, me every year fading him to
Yeah,
Big-
and we talked
big
about
L.
a couple weeks ago about like it feels like it's going the direction where there's less running backs that are getting a ton of receiving work. There's a couple of them that are still getting pretty strong, but it feels a lot less than it was last year or the year before. So just by pure measure of oranges are now not oranges,
Yeah.
those apples are looking pretty tasty.
It's more of the movement
What?
to a committee to coaches wanting committees of running backs where you have a running back who's your runner and he is on the field for the first 2 downs and then you bring in that receiving back. And it feels like that has become more of a thing over this year, maybe more so than the past.
I'm pretty sure there's data to support that there's just less true bell cows in the league than there used to be. Like that's just how snap shares have worked out. Injuries. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, there's just
I
no
don't-
talents.
I don't
You know,
think I
like Saquon.
understand the question, but I'm going to give it my best interpretation. I'm going to take it like the opposite route of Najee Harris. I thought Aaron got great value. I was heavily debating drafting him at 4. I chose Eckler instead, but I could have easily just grabbed Najee Harris's sticker and put him up at 4.
You got
And
the
been
question. You're right.
And, I'm just going the opposite direction with it, and been super content with Najee Harris at 4 after the draft had ended. I don't know what's going on with him. I had high hopes for him this year. I thought he was going to dominate. I called it the revenge season for him and Nick Chubb.
Revenge on who?
It's the personal demons they have. But yeah, just super disappointing all the way around.
I think people underestimated how good Big Ben was at getting fucking terrified in 0.2 seconds and immediately checking it down. He was his first read. Najee was his first read, and when your running back's your first read, that just
different offense.
Didn't Big Ben, and I could be thinking of it incorrectly, didn't last year he still had one of the highest release rates? Like
he had the highest. He had the highest snap to release rate in the entire NFL.
Yep, the guy gets the ball and throws that shit away instantly.
That's why Deontay Johnson like 170 because he would just do one quick move off the line and get a target.
Yep,
that's it.
Yeah.
So
shout out another rapist right there.
Yes, sir. Daniel, last one.
Yep.
Friend of the
Yeah,
pod.
Last rapist. Oh,
me?
Go ahead, dude.
Mine's also a running back. Going back to I didn't think that he would be performing at this level, at least yet, and that's Breece Hall. I truly think that Michael Carter is a very talented running back. I thought that it would at least – I knew that Breece Hall was going to be a stud at some point in his career, but I did not think that we're sitting here going into week 7, and he's ranked the 6th best running back in fantasy. Did not think it would remotely be that high of a ceiling that early. So Michael Carter's still a talented running back, but they're clearly like Breece Hall is their guy.
I think Robert Salah does a fantastic job of realizing what his team is good at and what his team is bad at. And, like, takes advantage of what he's good at. That's why Zach Wilson's not throwing touchdowns not throwing.
He's
for
turned Zach Wilson
yards.
into a game manager. Like he straight up is like, Zach Wilson's not turning the ball over really.
Rob Saleh is not doing that. It's Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, who's the OC.
Is that their OC?
Next Cardinals coach. Yep.
Because Salah, you guys know, Salah is a defensive-minded coach, and he's pretty much given the reins to Mike to run the offense as he sees fit. So a huge shout-out to Mike for kind of revitalizing that whole team. I mean, it's pretty much run by rookies and Zach Wilson, who fucks MILFs.
Yeah.
And
I think Dan, you weren't wrong on Michael Carter. He's a great running. Like he's an awesome.
Yeah.
I think that I was also like, I don't know. You look coming out of college. I think Breece was touted as like kind of Saquon level metrics in athleticism, but Saquon never had a level of competition that early in his career. He just got it. He just came into the Giants and took the full load right away.
Yeah, he did.
So no, I agree with you, thinking that it would take quite a bit longer to get the full load. You know?
Yeah, dude looks sick.
Yeah, rookie running backs are always tough to grade. Mostly because you never know if the coach is going to trust them right off the bat. But anyways, that's going to be our new segment from now on. If you would like to be on the pod, make sure to reach out. I think we had a viewer submitted question. I don't know if we're able to play that at all.
Well, I'll get it towards the end. I'll get it up.
All right. So we have another viewer submitted question that we wanted to touch on, but we'll see if we can get to it later on. Next, let's go ahead and look at the power rankings. Dan, I'm kind of putting a lot of pressure on you right now, but taking a look at the power rankings, really, the movement has slowed down quite a bit. It seems that teams are pretty
Found
much
their spots.
established. Yeah. By this point in the season, I mean, we're almost halfway through the regular season, which is crazy to think about.
There we go. I was like, can I see?
It's coming. It's coming.
So read them off for our viewers. Week 6 rankings. We got Jim number 1, Thomas number 2, Nicholas number 3, Caliendo. Oh, I'm sorry. We got Trevor number 4, Caliendo number 5, Leo number 6, Drake 7, Fleg and Sam tied at number 8, Koenig 10, myself at 11 on the up, and
Woo!
Rosen on number 12.
All right.
it.
So Dan escapes the 12 hole for once in his life. And I think the top 4 stayed the same
Moved up.
I think Nick
from
moved ahead
last
of me
week.
I moved ahead of Trevor.
while
Um,
scoring less points. Fun
And-
stuff.
And Koenig had his bar mitzvah this week, which is pretty cool.
Koenig had his
This was
bar
also
mitzvah.
the first week that I had James not number 1. So Thomas took over James's number 1 spot on my rankings.
You usurped him.
Yep.
Which is a curious one to me. That's like when Bama. It's like when you go back a few years ago when Bama kept winning every single game and then got moved out of the number 1 slot, even though they hadn't lost.
Sorry, I tossed
I am
the-
curious why Tom is ahead of James for you, Nick.
Just looking at like teams and how I think they're going to perform for the rest of the season. Like if I'm playing Tom this week, and if I had to choose to play either Tom or James, I'd rather play James than Tom.
Okay.
And so for that reason, it was a toss-up, but for that reason, I chose Tom over James.
Yeah, shout out me grinding out a win and moving up 3 spots somehow. That's a fucking W.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in our group chat, like, I really struggled basically 6 to 12 for mine. Honestly, it might have even been like 4 through 12. So I think it's just a lot of people are pretty even in that middle spot. Pretty clear who like the worst couple teams are, and pretty clear who the best couple teams are.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed. Not a lot of parity this year, it seems.
Yeah.
Which I feel like our league is usually pretty.
I feel like we
Pretty
never
even.
have. We never really have a ton of parity. It's always a
Well-
fucking clusterfuck in the middle.
It's usually me just kicking absolute ass all regular season. But
Welcome
This
to the
year-
clusterfuck.
this year it's not that. I didn't even know that you could. I didn't know that was possible to not just kick ass the whole regular season.
You should have played
anyways-
that after the rape comment, the opportunistic comment.
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Anyways,
Enough of that.
Fuck, Trevor.
looking at the actual ESPN standings here, it looks relatively similar. I mean, Josh is technically 3rd. Sam is always going to be a lot higher in the ESPN rankings than in the power rankings. And then looking at points for, points against, Sam with the least points for, currently sitting in a playoff spot.
Yep.
So, something to keep an eye on. I thought Thomas was eventually going to take over the points for, the highest points for spot, but it looks like it's going to at least take him 1 more week to take over that spot.
You ever notice how ESPN has home and away splits? Like that's something that actually matters.
Yeah, I don't know. But interesting, you guys have the same number of pickups, Josh and Trevor. Commissioner,
go.
we might need to take a look into this and see if there's some sort of shady practices going on.
I've been
Good fantasy playing.
I've been putting dollar pickups in the air for a while now.
Dollar pickups.
Something I noticed when trading Ryan yesterday. I don't know if you want to talk about the trades that have happened.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But he has $100 of his app still. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that without looking at his team, because I thought he'd been on the waiver wire and I thought I'd seen pickups. But Ryan has not spent a single dollar, so
He's doing his
saving
best,
up.
man. He's really just trying his best out here. We did have a couple of trades this past week. Both of them being done by members currently sitting in this podcast. The first one, it was the bigger one, really, which was Alvin Kamara and Tyler Higbee for Cooper Kupp. So Josh gets to pick up essentially. Is he the number one right now?
I think he's the number one.
receiver.
Number two. He's number
The
two.
number two receiver.
Who's one?
Diggs?
Stephon Diggs.
Diggs is one.
So Josh, I mean, he really doesn't give up much. I think Kamara was probably a bench running back for you with Dameon Pierce, right?
No, Kamara's,
he's been
Kamara's
my-
coming back from injury, and he's had a couple of good weeks. I think.
Yeah, he's actually had 2 solid weeks in a row. He was my starter last week before. Even with Pierce, I just had 3 running backs. I think I was right. Yeah, I was running 3 running backs, so I was starting 2 of them at the spots and then a flex. But if you get an opportunity to get a guy like Cooper Kupp, you're going to go for it.
Can you click on Kamara? Just making sure. I thought he's getting something like in the past couple games. He's getting like 25, 20, like 30 opportunities a game. Yeah,
he's touching the ball a lot. It's the one concern with Kamara, and I was actually telling Nick this yesterday, is with Andy Dalton in, it's fantastic. Andy Dalton makes it work for him. It's as soon as
Winston's
Jameis comes
coming back.
that makes it nerve-wracking, because Jameis is going to, for some reason, that guy wants to throw it downfield instead of throwing it to his running back who's wide open.
Yep. Which I think
he also benefits from
I wouldn't.
all
walk
of the wide
Kamara.
receivers being injured.
Yep.
Michael Thomas, Chris Olave was out. Who's the other one? Jarvis Landry's out.
Yeah. If I was Ryan, I wouldn't have done this trade unless it was for Saquon. Like, I probably would have declined. I know Ryan's kind of in a dire spot right now and needs players quick, but
I don't think
push.
Higbee gets included if it's Saquon.
Oh, of course not. Ryan might have had to add somebody else too, like an RB or wide receiver 2 or an RB 2. But I just from my standpoint, I wouldn't have done it for Kamara. Saquon, yes.
It was discussed, and the way that the conversation went is he asked about Saquon, and I was very honest. I said, "Hey Ryan, I'm Saquon's a non-starter for me. If we want to end it there, that's fine. I'm not going to force your hand and say we have to make a trade happen." And I threw out the idea of Kamara and Higbee, and he got back to me pretty quick and said, "Let's go for it." So,
Yeah. Good stuff slipping him those roofies. I think that really helped your case. But I just think you swindled the guy. And then the next trade, we have kind of a pretty sideways trade here.
I think it's pretty mid.
Yep. Kareem Hunt and Graham Gano. So a kicker trade for Zach Ertz.
Yeah, so I originally offered Hunt and Pitts for Ertz, and he said, I would rather have your fucking kicker than Kyle Pitts at this point. I see Dan laughing. Yeah, and
That's
so
hilarious.
I was like, I didn't care because kickers, I'll always be, I could stream a kicker and be fine because kickers and defenses you can stream because they're fun positions. And the K1 is sitting on the waiver wire. I picked him up. Dan, I outbid you by $3. But that just goes to show you how fucking stupid that position is. The K1, 6 weeks into the season.
Curious, Trevor, did you just do you have are you pretty high on Zach Ertz, or you just want a solid tight end to be in your starting lineup?
I want 10 points a week. I don't care about upside. I need points.
Would it ever cross your mind that if Nick
consistent.
Chubb ever goes down, then Kareem Hunt's immediately a number one running back in a
It did.
run-heavy
It
offense?
did. But to make this trade happen, Ryan was looking for running back depth, and I had a ton of running back depth. I think I have 5 startable running backs on my roster with Swift, Fournette, Mostert, Henderson, and Hunt. And Hunt was the worst of the 5 to me. So, you always got to give up an asset to get an asset. So
It's pretty
that was
funny
the risk.
that you offered Pitts. Especially he scored his first touchdown of the year this week, but
Yeah.
also just there's no question that Kyle Pitts is more valuable than a kicker. So
There's no question. So I was happy to do the kicker. But honestly, it doesn't mean Pitts is going to be anything anytime soon. I'm so sad about that draft pick.
Yeah, Pitts
So sad.
sucks. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason Koenig should be fucking asking for a kicker. But hey, man, shout out to him trying to make moves. He had to,
Hunt,
you know.
I think Hunt for Ertz is somewhat even enough, depending on what your positionally you need. He got Higbee out of the other trade, so he's not going to be starting 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
So I bet he also feels like he won it, but I think it was pretty mid for very low tier players, so
Right.
not really worth talking
I mean,
much
like Nick
about.
said, if Chubb gets fucking hurt on the first snap next week, then it's like,
Yeah, then he won the trade outright
right,
by a lot. But
you can never.
or if Hunt gets traded to the
right, we
Broncos
could
or
never-
some shit like that.
Oh god, that would be even worse. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next week's matchups.
Matchup preview.
Shout out James Earl Jones.
I thought you were
Every
going to say
week.
James Laurinaitis, and I was like, that is
Shout
a
out.
callback.
Jim Laurinaitis,
Former
for doing
linebacker
it
for
for
the
us.
Rams, baby.
former linebacker for the Rams, apparently. All right. So we got some good matchups here in the week 7. Well, I'll start off with myself like I always do because I'm the GOAT. So it's myself, Omega Sharkus, against Jim, Tom, Nick, and Trev. Love 9/11.
Nick, do you want to speak on that? Do you want to speak on that allegation?
I've been known to dabble in the dark arts of 9/11.
Hell yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Nick
So-
did 9/11?
Favorite day of the year,
Confirmed.
baby.
Nick did 9/11.
No,
That's crazy.
it's a fun team name. It's fun for everybody.
We like to have fun here. What can we say?
It's a fun team name.
We
I
like
it.
to have fun. But Sam's team sucks. And my team's good? Question mark?
Being projected
Um,
86.6 with a full lineup in is just the lowest I have ever seen.
Yeah. It's not great for him. He's got I mean what could be his 3 best players on bye with Jay Jettas, Singletary, and Goddard.
Yeah, true.
All on bye. So
Singletary is one of his best players. That's funny.
he really is though.
Yeah.
So knowing fantasy, I'm gonna lose this week, just because that's how it be sometimes.
So you're
But-
taking Sam?
Nah, I'm picking myself, baby. Let's fucking go. We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking Leo as well. Derrick Henry's back. He's going to eat. So, Leo.
Yeah, I do want to repeat the statistic that Justin Jefferson has scored over 20% of Sam's total points for on the season as one player.
I'm taking Leo.
I'll take Leo.
The only question I do have for you, Leo, is there a
Yo.
contingency plan if Bateman ends up... I know he practiced. He was out there today, but is there a contingency plan if he doesn't play?
No,
Okay.
I'll just pick up Duvernay probably.
I don't think it makes a difference, and I think you'll be fine, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I'll probably pick up Duve. He did really well for you last week, so I figured I might as well
If you need a solid 1.9 in your lineup, that is the dude.
I mean, that's
the
that's
dude.
probably all I need to beat Sam's team. Honestly,
I think it's interesting you're not starting Tony Pollard in that Detroit matchup. There's going
I
to be
might.
a lot of points scored, I think, in that game.
I might.
Could
I don't
be a
know.
banger.
I don't know.
I'm taking Leo. Sam's team sucks,
Let's go.
Fuck
Please
Brian
take
Robinson.
over, baby.
which
That's
means Sam's probably gonna win because
Yeah, probably. Probably. That's a fucking quiplash right there.
Oh, there's a
Um,
quiplash. Get that sound in there, Dan.
We just quiplash Sam.
Shout out to Mega Sharkus. All right, next matchup should be a good one. We got the Sheeples. I
gotta
assume you were
change
going
it
to
too.
change your name, yeah.
I
Um,
haven't decided what I'm going to go with yet anymore, just because clearly being mean to people is not working for me. So
I mean, Jim Flegenheimer is just such a
Right.
good one.
He is ripe for the ready taken.
his dad's name is Jim.
Big
Jim
time.
mother effing Emden Flegenheimer.
Jim is a goat. Against over 98 points, Najee, I'm good.
Great team name.
Who now has what looks to be a quite scary team. And Josh
He's
doesn't get to
welcome.
reap his Cooper Cup rewards until next week, unfortunately. But this should be a good one. This should be a good one.
It's a good one. It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's not tough for me. I'm going
Yeah.
Josh Caliendo. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Josh's team, I think, is like legitimately the best roster in the league.
Best
So,
starters for
I'm
sure.
going, I'm going
I'm-
Caliendo.
I'm going strictly with Aaron just because Tua might die again. So
That would be tragic.
I still have Tom Brady.
Third
Just
time this
just
season.
say aloud
no,
that you hate
I'm saying
me.
like if
In
Tua
the-
plays
in the
and you
game.
play him and he dies,
Both.
like you're stuck with
Yeah.
2 points from a quarterback. That's
At this rate, yeah, he
sure loss.
probably will get hurt.
so
I'm
Also,
gonna
Tom
take-
Brady's horrible. Tom Brady's
This is
doing
true.
terrible.
I'm gonna take
Better than Aaron
I'm gonna take
Rodgers.
Josh. I think Aaron's best player has a tough matchup. But we'll see how D Hop does in his debut. I don't think Keenan Allen plays again, so he might be rolling out 2 more Packers wide receivers.
Romeo Duh. No, he's got Juju.
He's got Juju.
Or Damian.
I don't know if Juju's the solve. I think that there will be a different Kansas City receiver every single week, as they said going into the season. So, could be Juju. It's a 33% chance of it being Juju.
I'm going to go
But yeah, I'll take
with
Josh.
Flag here because Josh took advantage of somebody in the form of Ryan Koenig, and I think karma's gonna come back to get him this week for it.
He's the one who wanted the trade.
I understand. That doesn't mean you didn't take advantage of him.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think this will end up being a really good matchup to keep an eye on. Both teams at 3-3 fighting for that last playoff spot. So we'll see how that goes. Next up,
Danklage.
we got Jadank Ledge Morgoon
Dan College.
against King Drizzle. Dan is trotting out Mr. Unlimited once again, baby.
Mr. Limited.
Crit.
Still,
Unlimited crit.
Mr. Limited.
still ranked higher than your quarterback, Leo. So
How's that working out for you, Chief?
How's that working out for both of you?
I still have more points for than you.
All right,
am-
I don't know what's going on here, but you're 1-5 and I'm 3-3, and I think that's the important thing here.
Yeah, getting lucky with
That's
schedule. That
fair.
sounds fun.
Um,
I'm gonna go.
Did we play each other?
No, I'm gonna go
Okay,
with Drake.
didn't think so.
I think Drake's team is solid. I think Zeke's on the up, like you said earlier, Josh. It's gonna be a high scoring game. A lot of pretty decent matchups for him, and not feeling too great. My team's we had to push out a really tough win, and I think we're gonna lose out and eat some pancakes.
I'm gonna take.
Is he negging right now?
Are you guys taking my thing?
Is he negging right now?
I'm gonna take Dan in this one. I think he gets another week of Ramondre Stevenson having 90% of the snaps against a fucking horrendous Chicago Bears team. And Drake keeps rolling out Curtis Samuel, man. I need to see something else from him in order to pick him in this matchup. Yeah, that's my reasoning.
I'm picking Dan for essentially the exact same reasons. I think Ramondre against that Bears defense is going to be a slaughter. I think he might
gonna eat.
I think he might.
He gonna eat.
I think he might kill an actual bear on the middle, of in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I'm picking Dan as well. I think Ramondre and Jamar could win him this matchup alone, and then Michael Gallup has Dak coming back, so maybe Dak just starts throwing to Michael Gallup a ton more. I'm going Dan. Don't like Russell Wilson, but
I think Dan might be better off with a waiver wire quarterback. I'm not gonna lie.
not many good ones out there, unfortunately.
I will say Lamar could absolutely murder.
Let me look. I could be wrong.
Browns, though. That
Russell
Browns
Wilson
defense
could get
is real
sauced,
bad.
though. He could get sauced.
It's like I said last week. Once those top two players combine for 60 points, I lost. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Drake for that reason. Tampa Bay's defense didn't do anything. Didn't do anything against Tits Trubisky last week, so I'm gonna go with Drizzly. I hope I can't pick a team that has Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback out of principle.
Matty Ice is sitting on the waiver wire against the Tennessee Titans, 28th ranked.
Anyways, good matchup. 9 against the 11. I have a feeling Dan's about to rifle off a couple wins here and make a push for that last playoff spot too. So
Similar to last year.
All right, next up we got a very lopsided matchup. God didn't
Hurts
save
is
the
on
queen.
bye.
Ryan Cade
Yeah,
against Hurts
Chance
Chubb,
hasn't updated his lineup.
Jimmy Contez.
Yeah, give James an extra 15.
Yeah, it's still
Wait, does he have a
Not
quarterback on his?
Daniel
he's
Jones.
got Danny Dimes.
Oh, okay, I was just saying, Matt Ryan sitting there too.
So close.
He didn't have a quarterback.
And I imagine he's going to put back in Gabe. No, they didn't play this week, sorry.
Nah, he's on bye this week. I think he made moves. He just didn't. He picked up
Updated,
Daniel
got
Jones today, so it's tough. But Koenig's still having to trot out AJ Dillon, which
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
But hey,
Which
it's
is
not his
tough.
number one anymore. So
Miles Sanders is on
Wasn't
bye.
his number one before? He's got Miles Sanders.
You got to give him a break. I'm going to give it to Ryan this week. This is the most vulnerable James is going to get without Jalen Hurts, and I think Cortland Sutton's going to get sauced. That's his wide receiver one.
you gotta stop saying that.
Sauce Gardner, baby.
He's
I know, but
he's a good player.
that's not.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm going,
Darren Waller's also not supposed to play, so I'm going to go Ryan.
I'm going James. This is a matchup. I did this myself last week. This is a matchup James should win, so he will win. James.
I'm taking Ryan. I think Ryan gets the W in this one.
Also, we haven't even talked about MVS in the flex. He dropped a goose last week.
Yeah.
I'm taking
And by the
James.
way, it's rough.
But it's like you said, it could be one of the three. It could be any of the three.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm taking James. There's
Okay,
no reason Dan should win or Ryan should win this.
Dan shouldn't win this matchup.
I'll win this matchup. But I'm gonna lose mine.
You know what? That is how it'll go.
100%. Yeah.
Dan is outscoring both these guys. I'm taking Dan.
Yeah, 100%. I'm taking Ryan. Basically, I don't think that James is going to be as strong without Hurts, and I think Ryan's team is still good, even though he maybe made a bad decision this week.
All right.
Kamara's going to score 1,000 points tomorrow night against the shittiest team in the NFL. So
We've got a good defense.
They've got a good D.
It's gonna end 13-10.
he's sick.
It's
Yeah,
Thursday
Slam
night.
that under. Slam that
So-
under.
Unless he's kicking field goals, I don't see him having too high of a
Just
scoring.
Just
They might
email
let
us.
him.
Just
They
email.
will.
Don't worry.
Let's go. All right, next up, we got I guess what's a close matchup. Mike's Hardbongwater Trevor Esha against Josh.
Yeah, I'm worried about this week. I'm gonna have 3 players in that Thursday night game.
Oh no!
I have to. I'm kind of forced into it.
Is Olave
I'm-
playing?
Yeah, he is. He's fully back. He was actually a full participant on Friday, and I'm not. I think the new concussion protocols, just because of the optics for the NFL, especially with Tua and that stuff, I think they're going to be holding out players 1 week longer than they used to. So Olave was out.
As they should.
Swift has taken 3 weeks off, and he's still not. He wasn't a full participant today. So that also makes me nervous. I will still obviously take myself because I think Josh's team is hot dog water, but I'm nervous for sure.
Are you worried about Olave matching up with Byron Murphy, who's been shutting dudes down?
I am. I have to play Olave though, because on the potential that Swift misses, I'm gonna have to throw Cooks in my flex. So I'd much rather just be Pittman and Cooks in my wide receiver slots, and then Mostert in my flex. But
Run out Wandale, man. Give
This is-
Wandale
I think he's a future stash. I don't think he's ready.
Believe it or not, I'm actually going Trevor as well.
shocking.
Picked him in the past.
He's taken me before. He's taken me before.
Yeah, similar reason. I don't think Josh's team is very good. He scored 67 points last week. That's just a bad team. So, Trevor it is.
I am going to, and I apologize to our guest, I'm going to take Rosen only on the fact that Dallas is playing Detroit and the Cardinals are playing on a Thursday. There's just something about those Thursday night games that make me think Kyler might not put up any points and that Dak might put up a ton of points against Detroit, and it just comes down to which QB scores more. So I've got Rosen. I do not feel good about it in the least bit, but I'm taking Rosen.
I tell you what, seeing a 6 next to the player rank on Kyler Murray, it does not feel like that, man. He is
he's like
a
chipped
struggle
away.
to watch.
He's chipped away at like 18-point games because he's just running for 40 yards.
He does chip away towards the end. I would say, like,
and that's
every
why
time
I
I look
picked
at your
him.
scoreboard, he has like 18, 20 points. I'm like, oh, well.
You know, like when
It's a
he
decent
duds, he doesn't dud as hard as other quarterbacks because he has that rushing baseline. I mean, that's why
Well.
in fantasy rushing is king.
Yeah, I'm going Rosen. I can't. If you have 3 players going on Thursday night, unless Jeffy Bezos is hitting the button to make the refs like
Come on,
not throw
Daddy
any
Jeff.
flags, so
Come
that
on, Daddy.
his product finally gets a good fucking outing. I'm gonna have to go with Rosen.
Yeah, this is a great way to greet our guests because I'm also going Rosen. Mostly because Trevor's
Understandable, yeah.
right here, and I love doing that. But also because I think, like, looking at those injuries, Trevor, and looking at just, I do think Josh's team is on the up. Like, it did get better this week, so I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going Rosen.
So
I
get
think-
fucked, Trevor.
Yeah, Rosen's got Cook on bye, so I guess this is probably the most vulnerable he's going to be.
Definitely the
Vulnerable
other
at 1-5.
the other thing
If I
is
can get,
go ahead.
I said if I could get like 30 to 40 points from Thursday night, I think I'm going to feel real comfortable.
Yeah, this game's not breaking 90.
I think Heineke might.
I believe you.
Heineke might bring Terry McLaurin back to life a little bit. That's also something to be.
Scarrold Terrell.
He might be
does
back
love
to Scary
Scary
Terry.
Yep.
Does anyone know is Jahan Dotson playing? Is he back?
He was back at practice today. I don't know if he. I think he was limited. I want to say.
Tell you who is
Okay.
playing Brian Robinson, and he's
That's
fucking
pretty big.
bulletproof.
Rob.
Fucking
All right.
son of a bitch.
And last, but certainly
Matchup
not
of the week.
least,
Matchup of the week.
Matchup of the week. Matchup of the week.
Matchup of the
Nick, you jerking off 2 dudes right there?
all
Right.
right.
The Dragons theme from Matt
got-
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has been begging for this since week 1. We gave the matchup of the week to Detective Alan Gamble this week.
Couldn't have come at a better time.
Nick Radford against Taylor Gang Tom Gordon. couldn't have come at a better time. You're projected to get absolutely ass blasted, which is interesting. I mean, just an absolute dicking is what's projected to happen.
If you're rolling out Tyler Algier and Paris Campbell, I'm
Paris
sorry.
Campbell's we don't know yet. We'll see how we feel about him.
You spent 14 fab on him, and you're thinking about not
Gosh, I've
starting him?
already explained my fab situation, man.
What is your
Don't
fab?
wanna-
What's your excuse going to be when you have
I
$0?
I need to know why you
I won't
spent
need to pick up
$14
anybody
on
else at
Paris
that point.
Campbell.
Oh, at that point, your season's you're set. Your
Yeah.
lineup is set. Okay.
Good to go.
Did you think there'd like he would be a hotly contested pickup?
Yeah, he scored 15 points and had a lot of targets last weekend.
I'm going Thomas. Go ahead.
Go Thomas.
Thomas.
Dan?
Thomas.
Yeah, it's not picking myself. Shocked the world.
Something to keep an eye on is Andy Dalton did pick up an injury last week, so there's a chance that Nick gets Taysom Hill quarterback on Thursday night.
Yeah.
That would be his saving grace. That's the only way he wins this matchup is if he gets 20 points.
Which Trevor's
from
an expert in
tight end.
Taysom Hill in the.
Dan, do you have PTSD from last year?
Fuck you, dude.
For those
For
unaware,
anyone that doesn't fucking remember, fucking
last
Trevor
year,
was privileged to pick up tight end quarterback at tight end position.
Taysom Hill,
for
Dan,
the only week
for a
that
good
he was
old
allowed to be tight end.
25-something points
And that bumped me
from
out of
my
the
tight end slot while he was playing quarterback. It wasn't even a dual threat like he is now. He was just straight up a quarterback.
That's tough.
Fuck you, dude.
That's tough. But is Jonathan Taylor going to be back?
He's got. I would be shocked if he doesn't play, especially since he was.
I would be as well.
As the Deion Jackson owner, I'm pretty sure he's playing.
Damn. So he's got the Holy Trinity back.
No.
I think it's interesting he's
no Josh
chasing.
Allen this week.
Yeah. Have you seen Derek Carr?
That's right. The new Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinity. Yeah, Tom's team's really fucking good, man.
Fuck Thomas.
So annoying.
Tom has now hit. I was talking about this. I forget with who, but he has now hit on two backup running back lottery tickets.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams with Swift and Kenneth Walker now with Rashad Penny going out for the season. It's
Nick,
only week 6.
Nick, are you sticking with the
When were you
Jags?
getting Kenneth Walker, by the way? When did you say you'd have Kenneth Walker on your roster by?
Can't remember.
He said 2 weeks. He said 2
Oh, okay.
weeks. So
2 weeks last
he
week.
has
Okay.
time.
I don't know. The Jags are still up in the air as well. We're still tinkering. This is tinker time.
I thought you didn't tinker, man.
Well, they got buys, man.
All right, I like
And
it.
Marquise
Hey,
Brown is out. That's just I got a little hurt this week. You know.
That's
Imagine
fair.
needing to tinker with your team, dude. That's
Imagine.
trash.
I think Thomas's weakness definitely down the line is going to be wide receiver, and I think he should definitely look to make moves in the future.
But Nick doesn't have wide receivers.
who
anymore,
are you trying to
so.
get from him that you're saying that?
Jamal Williams.
Okay, that's what I thought. But
Maybe
yeah, it'll
set out
be a good
couple
matchup.
feelers.
Nick, I hope you make it competitive at least.
Thank you, sir.
I don't.
It's just tough seeing you having to start Tyler Algier and Paris Campbell.
That's tough, man. And Brandon Ayuk, that's chasing points pretty hard as well.
Ayuk
from
against
last week.
Kansas City should be fine. But yeah, we'll see how week 7 goes. Hopefully, I don't think there's been a week where all 4 of us, at least the regular podcast hosts, have won in the same week.
Well, there's only one week where I have one, and that's last
There's
week.
only one week that Dan has won.
So you're right.
So I'm right. So I'm hoping that week 7 is that magical week where we can all come in with that W.
With the George.
But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the last segment.
Actually, we got a question from the audience.
Oh, were we able to get that listener question up?
Yeah, I'm good at my job.
Everyone mute.
Let's go ahead and listen
Yeah,
to this to the listener.
Hello,
question
everybody.
here,
Hope you guys
hopefully.
are all having a great week. Just want to give some backstory on this question. So Nick sent me a trade request and then proceeded to insult everybody in my starting
wait.
lineup to compare to Garrett Wilson, who had one target for 7 yards. And I don't know. That was the backstory. So the question here is, what's everybody's strategy for trades? I know Josh and I have had a trade, and I really respect Josh's way of trading. It's a nice discussion. But Nick is just like hits you up out of the blue and then shits on your team and proceeds to put up like 80 points. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of spark a discussion there.
Garrett fucking Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, baby.
Garrett
Can I
fucking Wilson.
defend myself a little bit here? Because I
No,
feel like that
please.
was kind of
Nick-
Absolutely
Nick's-
not.
Go
Nick's
ahead,
trade
Nick.
strategy is to personally bully all of your
That's
players.
not true. One bit. Show me any text that I've sent you bullying your players, Trevor. Please. And I'll read you the text I
Let me
sent to
pull the
Aaron.
text. Let me pull the text.
Dan's different. So I sent Aaron a trade. To Josh's despise, I didn't text him beforehand. Sorry. I just sent him a trade to start the talks that way. And he said, one, this is him texting me. Why do you want Najee? And he goes, two, I don't want Garrett Wilson. I said, I'll switch Wilson for Ayuk if you want. He goes, and nothing in the world will make me want him, even worse. And I said, I'm willing to take Najee out of your hands. You should be thanking me. He said, I know I just don't think Najee for Melvin Gordon is a good deal at all, and I would never play either of them.
Wait,
And I said,
go ahead. Go ahead.
what, Josh? No, how is that?
You would
Were you
have.
sending Melvin Gordon and Garrett Wilson for not?
There's some other players in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like a 4v4 trade. And I said, I would start both of them in your lineup this week, to be honest with you. He goes, that's crazy. And I said, you do have two Green Bay wide receivers starting. And he said, one more week. And that was it. That was the end of the talks. That's it. So I'm sorry if I was
Flag
mean
definitely
there.
exaggerated there. No, he exaggerated it on the question.
Yeah, I haven't
So-
really texted anyone about any trades. I just send out trade requests and hope
It's a
that
good way
you
to
hit
start a
accept.
conversation. I feel like
Josh hates it. Josh gives me some shit for it.
I
He's Mr. Diplomat over here.
No, my strategy with trading has always been I hate the idea of just sending a trade. I think a lot of the time that comes off wrong because sometimes it might seem like you're trying to be a dick because there's no logic behind just setting off a trade. I will text and say, hey, I'm interested in X player. What does it potentially take to get them? And I will go from there and I'll go through a conversation of, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm hoping to get for it. Back and forth that way. Now, Dan is going to say something about the DJ Moore thing today, but that was DJ Moore, Trevor knows, is a meme right now with me. I'm trying to just get rid of DJ Moore in any way, shape, or form.
That, and I just sent you a trade request without talking to you about it. So
You're such a dick.
Dan sends some egregious fucking trades. I make fun of Nick because he's a trade bully, but Dan is by far the worst at just sending, without a text, just the worst garbage.
Aaron,
Yeah, but
What do you
that's
guys-
fine. He'll send you one that is just like, what the fuck did I just receive? I have to accept this before
it's
he
like
declines it.
I have 30 minutes of work and I'm looking at the teams. And I'm like, I don't know if I can make some work here. All right, I'll just send something silly and see if they text me. And that's what I do for all of you.
So to answer Flag's question, though, I always have one cardinal rule for any trade I'm at.
Go
or
Cardinals.
I'm doing, and it is I always want to get the best player in the trade. So no matter who is involved, I always want the number one, whether that's a 2-for-1, whether that's a 3-for-2. My goal with trades is usually to use my depth in order to upgrade it at one of the positions. So that's how I kind of go about it.
I don't think
I
Flag
don't
actually
really-
cares
I don't make-
our thoughts.
I don't really make trades. Usually,
Oh,
I
you don't
just
think he cared? I thought it was a well thought out question.
usually I hit a home run in the draft, and then just coast through the regular season. So I don't even know how you make trades, but
Should we walks?
shout out Nick for harassing people into trading him. Yeah, let's go ahead and get it going.
I got him locked. Bingo.
Locks of the week.
All right. News update, news flash, we still suck at this. We are very, very bad at gambling as a unit. I think we're all either 500 or lower, which is not great for the program.
It's even
I'm
worse.
up on the year quite a bit, actually, so I'm pretty happy.
So maybe you can turn our luck around.
Yeah, this is not
Got
what,
you.
So, real quick, last week, Leo and Josh both won their bets. Nick and I both lost our bets. Leo, Josh, and Nick are all at 3-3. I am at 1-5. And looking at the cash, Nick is in first place with $14 ahead. Josh at $6, Leo at 1. I'm under $16. So collectively, we're positive.
Yeah,
Not bad.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are
But
you mad?
huh?
Nothing.
I just don't think Nick's either Nick's cash or
The
Nick's...
cash is correct. The weighted total is not correct.
Gotcha.
I'll go first for this week.
Yeah, hit him with
you
it.
Motherfucker.
Hit him
Sorry,
with it.
Josh. I'm going. There's only been a handful of teams in the NFL who have started the season 7-0 against the spread, and the Atlanta Falcons are going to try to do it this week.
Here we go.
Every time, most of the times that there's been teams that start 7-0 against the spread, they're teams that dominate other teams. And this is the first time really that an underdog like this is doing it. So I'm doing Falcons plus 6.5 at -114 to go for the elusive 7-0 record against
Who
the
do they
spread.
play?
The Bengals.
Shout out Nick pulling out the stats on this lock.
Bengals don't look good, dude. So I don't hate it.
Who wants to go next?
Trevor, you should go before me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm technically not like a part of the part of this spreadsheet, but I did do a lock of the week. Leo last week picked the Giants to cover against the Ravens, and the Giants are somehow, I think I got in when I put my bet in, 3.5-point dogs to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the money line on that was, I think like plus 230 or something
Plus
like that.
130.
Was it 130? Yeah, so I smashed that. I think the Giants right now are kind of an enigma. I don't know quite how they're 5-1, but I think they're just a well-coached team. I think Brian Dable knows what he's doing, knows how to coach a football team. So
Shout out
I think
Big
they're going
D.
to handle the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty easily.
I'm
Friend of the pod.
I'm tailing Trevor on that one. I've got actually the exact same thing. I took the money line for the Giants. It's crazy because we joke about second half teams when we're playing fantasy, but they are quite literally a second half team. Whatever happens in that locker room at halftime turns them into a totally different beast.
Dable
Yeah.
magic, baby.
Yep. Shout out Big D. I am going with the New York Jets. So I'm sticking in the New York area. Picking up the Jets against the Broncos in Denver. Right now the line is at a pick'em. So technically the Jets are 1-point underdogs. But I'm going to go ahead and take the money line at -102.
Nice.
I would also maybe think about taking the under in that game.
I am going to take a parlay this week to try to
Hello.
cash out some money. I'm taking the under 48.5 on the Lions-Cowboys game, and I am taking the over 41.5 on the Giants-Jags game. That game brings me a total of 264. I feel pretty good about both of those.
An over-under parlay?
Yeah,
I like it.
it's
I respect it, Dan.
It's where I win a lot of my money.
The over-unders? We'll see,
Aren't
man.
the-
You need it.
Aren't the Lions like 5 straight on hitting the over?
No,
Yeah,
they
and the
shit
Cowboys-
the absolute bet against the Patriots.
And
Oh, did that game not hit the over?
No.
It was like 35-0, right?
Nick, you're muted.
And the Cowboys are like allowing the least points for.
Oh yeah, it's like 29-0.
Okay.
With that being said, this is, I think, our longest pod yet. Sorry, not sorry, but
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
if you made
Yeah,
it
go
this
fuck
far,
yourself.
thank you for listening. And if you haven't,
Thanks for being on, Trevor. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, never come back though. I mean,
We'll
come
have you back in the playoffs or something.
Thanks, guys.